And then we had a situation where a robbery took place. You know, the guys ran in the house on us. I said, man, why are you doing this? Man, ain't got nothing to do with you, OG. Ain't got nothing to do with you, man. Okay, man. But you pointing the shotgun at me. Now you bringing me into this. The next time it happened, I'm there and I'm ready because you done made me a part of this.
Yep.
And so that's when all the shooting go down that night. And the third time he ran in, and I could hear him in the, don't go in that room. That's OG Mike room. Don't go, no, not that room, the other room. And the door kicked open. Okay, now I'm going to give you what you're asking for. I'm so done. I'm just, the prison politics, the headache, the stress, stabbings occur there daily. Ass whoopings daily. Man, I'm tired of the environment. It didn't fit. You just scored a ton of dope for me. The parking lot deal.
Yeah.
Yet I seen you in the neighborhoods going down here on Coven and Bell's Eye, and then you went around to Morningside and Bell's Eye and scored. Why would he need to do? I'm thinking, nah. I never noticed the way this dude walked. I say, wait a minute, who I know? And I snapped. My nephew worked for the Fort Worth Police Department. He walks the same way. Always that right hand is a little bit further because she used to carry that firearm. He carries his firearm up here. He carries his taser. And I said, man, walk. I say, damn it, T is the police.
Well, it's the land of the free and home of the brave. Stairs in the houses of the community. But leave them alone and what they're gonna say. With the clean back, like Marcus here to stay. Like a new gold with red and blue.
Man, I never thought I'd be here talking about this today. As most of you know, in a past life, I worked deep undercover, infiltrating the Crips street gang while assigned to the FBI. It culminated in 51 arrests of violent gang members, as recounted in my book, Life in the Fishbowl. Of those gang members, this particular cat was the eldest by a long shot. But he was also the most endearing and the most intelligent guy in this entire case. We sit down here for the first time after I sent him to prison for 20 years. And we talk about how people fail people. We talk about how systems fail people. And yet he tells a redemption story that hopefully lays the groundwork for other people to follow and find success and happiness in life. So without further ado, please help me in welcoming to the show OG Mike Holt. I'd love to start way back, if it's okay, because your story is long, because we're both old people now. And were you born and raised in Texas? And tell me a little bit about your family when you were growing up.
Well, where I was born is still kind of mysterious. Now, according to my mother, I was not born in Texas, though my birth certificate indicates such. The story is that she went to use the restroom and pow, there I was. I almost drowned in the toilet.
Really?
Yeah, that's the story. But at that time, we was in Los Angeles. So that is the true birthplace.
She was visiting in Los Angeles?
Right. Yeah, we were with family, you know.
And then, so what was the story about how she salvaged you having come out? Did she know she was pregnant?
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
Of course. She, said she was having pains, but she had to use the restroom. So she go to relieve herself, and
wow,
man, I popped out, almost. That's why as a youngster, for a little while, she used to call me toilet baby, because I just popped out on her. So
how many other siblings do you have?
Living, let's see.
Or even growing up, just Oh
man, it was always a house full of people. So growing up in one house, there was 6. And then in another house, there was 6, and then my father went on to have, I think the total is like 41 children altogether. That's, my father's children.
Wow.
Not with my mother, but with my father. Yeah.
Wow.
He had a lot of kids. I had a lot of brothers and sisters.
Yeah. Is he somebody that you kept in touch with?
Yeah, man, I love the man dearly.
Yeah. So-
And of course, I love my stepfather too. I always look at my stepfather as he was a great man. Yeah, to me. He was a great
So
man.
you were born in LA,
Mhm.
quickly got moved back to Texas because that was where your mother actually lived. And then you grew up with 5 other siblings in the household.
Right.
What kind of household was that growing up?
Well, wasn't a lot of space at first, but as time went on, we started, gradually going to bigger houses, because, so many kids.
Yeah.
But, and I always had a lot of cousins around, so we had to have, a lot of space.
Your mom and dad together at this time?
No.
Okay.
No.
Was your mom taking care of all those kids herself?
Well, her and my stepfather,
Okay.
I honestly can't recall a time when I didn't have 2 parents, my stepfather was always there. But I was years later that I found out my mother was never legally married to my father, though we all, bore his last name.
Yeah. And you just assumed because, the kids don't know that stuff.
Yeah. But I always knew who he was, but he was not there with us. By that time he had, had married again, had another wife and a whole lot of more kids,
So what part of Texas is this?
This is in Fort Worth.
Okay, in Fort Worth. So what kind of experience did you have as a kid? Were you into sports, into music, into comics, or whatever? Around
No,
the time?
I was.
What kid were you?
Honestly, I was into guns and animals. I always loved guns because we always had them, and we always had dogs. One while we had dogs, cats, guinea pigs. You think about, well, you got this in the city? Of course we did. We had, I didn't get exposed to other type of, domestic animals until, I would go in and out of the country where my grandmother lived, so,
Okay.
She had pretty much every animal that you could have on a farm she had.
Is that where you went shooting and stuff like that? Is that where you got your passion for guns?
Yeah, because my father, he was a gun nut too,
Okay.
My stepfather always had weapons too, but my father, my biological father, man, he had a good gun collection, yeah.
What did he do? What did both of your
my stepfather, he had retired from some sawmill, and then years later he retired from T&P Railroad.
Okay.
And my father, he pretty much, as I know, he always had a job, but what he did, I really don't know. But most of the time he worked on a lot of ranches and, he took care of a lot of, wealthy people, ranches and, farms and that type of stuff.
So at what point do you think in your youth did you start dabbling in things that were off course? How does a man with those kind of innocent interests and siblings and everything start fading?
I think, they say hindsight is 20/20, but I think looking back, it's really kind of hard to tell where the veer went off, because it wasn't something that I just suddenly got into. I gradually got into,
Yeah.
They say you're running with the wrong boys, but it would always be, it was like my mother would say, hey, you don't need to hang around with them, but their mother would say, you don't need to hang around with Mike, so,
right.
It's kind of like, the coming of age thing, you're young, you get, you're mischievous, you start doing things, hey man, let's get this. I don't do no stealing, but we'll bring it back. And before you know it, you got it and you keep it. So, you, like I say, you just kind of gradually got into that.
About what age is this you're talking about?
And I had to be, I knew I wasn't in double digits the first time I got in trouble. I had to be about, I wasn't even in the first grade. By the time I got in the first grade, I was going in,
Really?
Yeah, of course I was,
So you were kind of in a game that's, but just with your peers. I mean, these are other first graders you're running around with.
Yeah.
And you're doing stuff like just stealing from store,
right?
Stuff like that, or what?
I guess it's kind of like, boys being boys. Yeah, exactly. We started to, shoplifting, picking up things, with every intent to pay for, and then, you playing these games and somebody sticks something in my pocket, bitch, you want to walk out with it, bitch, I will. It's kind of a dare thing. Yeah. So, and it actually became something I started doing regularly. Okay, well, if I can do this and get away with it, if you get away with something, you want to try it again and again and again until you get caught.
Right. Especially at that age. Because
Yeah,
I think there's
yeah.
a lot of kids
Yeah.
that have that story of, I snatched a handful of candy,
Uh,
got home from the grocery store, and mama sees the candy.
Right.
And says, like, where'd you get that?
Exactly.
And then they drive right back to the store.
Yeah.
You give it back and you
Yeah.
give the humiliating
Yeah.
speech.
Yeah. Yeah.
But you were slicker than that,
Yeah.
even as a
And-
first grader.
And then once I did start getting caught, man, I started getting some of the most terrible beatings, so.
Well, tell me about that. Like, how does that start? I mean, how is that also not a deterrent? So, first of all, a beating is relative because
Yeah.
all of us used to get whoopings,
Right. No.
and that wasn't abuse. But
No.
you're talking about
No, this is a completely different thing. See, a whipping and a spanking. No, I didn't ever get those. I got beatings, and I mean with a capital B. And I know a lot of, even as a kid, I knew a lot of times that was really my mother's frustration being taken out on me. Is given to me in the way she would whoop me. You know what I'm saying? The way she would beat me, man. I knew some other things going on. The type of beating she was doing, this didn't require, it didn't require that. But
no.
also it angered me, and a lot of times, looking back on it, I know this was some of the reasons why I acted out, because of the punishment I was given. I've never been spanked by my father, never touched by my stepfather or father, but my mother, oh man, when it came down to discipline, she was extreme,
Was you like that with your other siblings, or did they ever get into as much trouble as you?
No, they didn't get in as much trouble as I did, but they they had they terms too, when they would get whoopings, but seemed like when it came down to me, it was always extreme. I always got the extreme end. I can remember when me and my sister, we should get up the next day and peel my skin off extension cords. You know what I mean? That I would be beat just that bad. Sometimes beaten so bad, even though my oldest living sister now, she denies this, well, you can, if that's her thing, if that's her way of dealing or coping with that, that's her thing. But the truth of it is, we used to do that. I'd peel my skin off the extension cords the next day,
Wow.
Yeah.
And so you think that was part of this is an interesting point that I'd like to get to the bottom of, is some people will experience that kind of trauma and suppress it like your sister and move on and say, I'm never doing this again. I got my ass totally kicked. I'm never doing this again. And other people will get pissed off like you did and say, I'm going to keep doing this. I mean, what do you think motivates that? Is it the anger from the beating? Or
I think so. In my case, I know it was, seemed like the more she beat me, the more I'd go do, and a lot of times I would be realizing that if I didn't do it that way by breaking the law, I did it that way by putting my hands on somebody. I'm going to find me somebody to fight. So, I would relieve my frustration that way,
right. And what else happened during your childhood, or was there a time where you felt like that you were triggered by anything else? You were assaulted at one point as well?
Oh, yeah.
And at what point in your life was that?
Yeah, I was in my teens then. It was a guy, his name was, can I use his real name?
You can if you want to.
Okay, well, his name was R.L. Livingston, and they called him Daddy Cool. And I thought he was just the coolest guy, man. I thought he was a cool guy. He was very much into kind of like the black movement thing, I thought he was just a cool guy. He had a place, I want to think it was called the BIA, Better Influence Association. I'm almost sure that's what the name of it. And he had a little clubhouse, where you get out of school. Even if you wasn't going to school, you could always come there and hang out. It was a place to go, to keep you off the streets. And I want to say it was on my birthday, man. And I found out where he lived, and he lived in the neighborhood. I found out where he lived. So one day we over there, and he kept buying this beer, buying this beer. I noticed he would go in the room with take certain guys in his room. Some would come out looking strange. Some would come out giggling. I'm like, what the hell is going on? But eventually I got drunk because we drinking this beer. We drinking this Coke.
Yeah, and you're a young teenager.
Yeah, I'm a kid, but I'm a tough guy too, Of
course.
Yeah,
well,
I'm a tough guy. Yeah, And I just remember regaining consciousness, and this dude was attached to me like what do you call those tank cleaning fish? The little suction fish.
Suction
hey,
fish.
man, it smells. And I grabbed the man's hip. What the hell is you? The little rumble. I run out the house,
Yeah.
And I knew then, I always knew something about this guy wasn't right. And come to find out, that's what he was.
That's
He's a
what-
predator, man. Yeah, he's
And
a
you
predator
knew,
and a
and
pedophile.
you realized by then too that you weren't the only victim of his. Cause
Oh, yeah,
you
yeah.
kept seeing
Yeah.
one at a
Right,
time
right,
people going
right,
through.
right. And that was like my second experience, because the first experience happened years before then. And it happened with a doctor. Even to this day, I don't like doctors. I don't like to be touched by male doctors, even though I know he has to do his job, but I don't like being touched by doctors. Even now, when I see the doctor, I prefer female doctors. I'm a lot more comfortable, a lot more relaxed
Mm-hmm.
in their presence, you know. And there was a time when I wouldn't even talk about this. I wouldn't dare, you know. I kept all that pent inside. And I think a lot of time that too what motivated me to act out, because for a lot of years, I did not like homosexuals in any form.
Right.
And you know,
And you know why.
yeah,
now,
I know
right?
why now, but I didn't understand then. Years later, what changed my attitude about that was that by that, you know, years had passed, but by that time I had started using other drugs, right? And I ended up using heroin. And I never forget one day I was sick, man. I was so sick. And I was too sick to even try to go hustle and make some money. I was just sick. And I never been a blue Lincoln Colonel pulled up, and this homosexual got out the car named Queenie. Well, everybody knew Queenie. Booster. I never encountered anybody could steal like this guy could steal. And he took one look at me, said, "You sick, ain't you?" And I said, "Yeah, man, I'm sick." He said, "Well, come on, go with me." First, and I'm thinking, nah, you got me effed up. So, but eventually he talked me into getting in the car with him. There was another guy in the car with him too. And he took me to the methadone clinic. You know, rather than taking me to go buy some dope, he took me to the methadone clinic.
Yeah.
And that's how I got into the methadone clinic.
What an interesting way to change your perspective on that.
And it did, because he never came at me in no kind of sideways thing. And, you know, he's real popular back then. A lot of people knew him back then. You know, he's a known hustler, you know.
Well, and it was a way for you to make the distinction between a homosexual and a predator. Like
Right.
And as a young kid, you just don't know how. Were you one of the people that cried out at that time with thing? I know he ended up getting prosecuted.
Yeah, I
so
was.
You went to your mother, or how'd you?
No, I didn't do that. Actually, I was in jail with a guy I knew who had experienced the same thing. He said, "Yeah, man, I could have been done told you," because he lived in the neighborhood too, and he said, "I could have been done told you about it, man. All you had to do was ask me." Well, who goes around asking if a dude is gay or not? You know,
right?
I just always knew it was something about him. I didn't put it in that perspective as he was a homosexual. I didn't look at him like that, but I just knew something was off about him. And anyway, this guy who I was in jail with, he said, "Yeah, man, you know, he's going to be going to court soon." I say, "For what?" He say, "For doing that type of shit, man. He's going to be going to court for that." I'm like, "Yeah." He said, "Man, look, let me give these people your name, and then you can talk to them." So I end up going before a grand jury, you know, and, you know, short story long, he ended up getting prosecuted for it.
Yeah.
Well, by that time, I was in prison, you know, for another case. I was in prison, I think, for aggravated assault with a deadly weapon, a couple of burglary building, something like that.
Okay.
But I had got sentenced to prison, and one morning take that back. One night they came, told me, "Be ready in the morning. You're going on the bench one." I'm thinking, man, I don't know other cases. We got all that taken care of. Well, they ended up bench warning me to Potter County, Amarillo, and when I got there, I found out what I was there for. You know, they was prosecuting Ariel Livingston. He had got to change the venue from Tarrant County because of publicity.
It was Mr. Cool in Tarrant County.
Yeah, Mr. Cool. That's who he was. That was his name, Mr. Cool. That's what everybody called him. But he was being prosecuted in Amarillo County. I mean, in Potter County. But you know, I never did have to take the stand on him or nothing like that. You know, nothing occurred. They had enough to bury him on. You know, I never knew how much time he got after that, because I never followed the case after that.
Yeah, you were still locked up.
Yeah.
And I assume that combination of events between the beatings and the anger and then suppressing some of that other stuff had to be indicative of how drugs came into your life.
Right.
At what point you mentioned that you progress to heroin, but what point did you start? How does that play into to your life? What point?
Well, my introductory to drugs was not like everybody say marijuana. Marijuana is a gateway drug. I don't buy that at all because I wasn't introduced to marijuana. I think I didn't smoke marijuana until probably 14, 15. No, I had to be about 14 years old. But my introduction to drugs was with barbiturates. They had a pill back then. They called them, the name was Red Devils. Everybody called them Reds. It was made by Lilly. You had F40s and F42 Reds. So that was my introductory to drugs, using that, what I mean? So, but I liked the way it made me feel. So, and, later on I kind of found, well, that's a downer. That's not an upper. So I had this love for downers, even though during that time, I experimented with everything. I probably ate acid and mescaline on a daily basis,
So are these the same cats that you were just hanging out with at the time?
Yeah.
That were introducing you to that stuff?
Yeah, well, I was locked up, actually. I was in a reformatory then. Yeah.
Okay, that's the first time you tried dope
I was
in prison?
In prison. I was locked up. I was in a reformatory. My first.
Wow.
Yeah.
So how does that work? How did that work back then? I know now it's so much more sophisticated.
Oh, yeah.
But back then, how did that first experience occur even?
Well, it was a guy had left on furlough, and when he came back, he brought the pills back with him.
Okay.
He said, man, you need to try one of these. Okay, I'll try one. And I tried it, and I liked it.
How do you pay for that after that? I mean, you get hooked on something like that inside. I mean,
yeah, and well, when I finally got out, because I was never officially released, what happened was that I had reached a point where they started letting me come home on furloughs. And once they did that, I decided, well, I'm going to take some of this food back and show it to my mother. I need to show her how they feeding us. And when I brought that food back, I could see the expression on her face. Something in her changed then. So when I went back, and the next time I made a furlough home, she said, I'm not sending you back. And that was, I got my freedom.
And that was it?
That was it.
Because it was the
and there was
youth
no
commission type of thing? Was it?
Yeah. But this is pre-Gatesville. This is before Gatesville thing ever. At least I hadn't been to Gatesville. It was a place called St. Paul Industrial Training School.
Okay.
Yeah. Ran by a lady named Alice O. Smothers. I never will forget it. Used to talk so bad to you. Get out of my flower bed. Man,
really?
Brutal.
What year was this? Can you give us
60s.
an idea?
It was in the 60s.
But late 60s had to be, right?
Yeah,
late
60s. Late 60s.
Okay.
Late 60s.
So you were still in your early teens about this time?
Yeah,
probably?
Yeah, because I think when that furlough I went home on, I think I was either 12 or 13 when I finally left that place for good. Yeah.
Man. Yeah, people will say you've come a long way, but I still think there's a lot of struggle with that. And I think now it's a lot more hidden than it was then.
Well, the judge declared that I was delinquent, and that's how he ended up sending me to St. Paul.
And so did you end up getting addicted there, or you just
No,
I
didn't get addicted there. My addiction came sometime, years later, but that was my introductory, to I seen them sniffing gas, huffing gas and glue and all. I wasn't really interested in that type of stuff, but when I got that pill, that was something new, and I liked it,
Yeah. I think most people would, other than the control factor.
Yeah.
It's just
I like
knowing what it's going to do and how long that road ends up being, right?
Right. So after that, I just started, I started seeking them out, and they had, because the Quaaludes that came along then, you had the Quaaludes and Turinol, so I was doing all this type of stuff, Percocet, Percodan, and perk anybody,
So, okay, so this brings you into your teenage years. You've already been getting into some trouble. You're talking about burglarizing places. So you're no longer snatching candy from the store and daring people to this and that. So your crowd has already become a crowd of people who've been in and out of the system at this point.
At that time, well, I still had a large number of friends that had never been in trouble, but I also had that particular my core group was guys that had been locked up before. They seemed to be more of my type of people. So, and in one point, there was a time where, my mother said, well, I know what I'll do. I'll just send him out west.
Mm-hmm.
So I end up going to California, and I get introduced to this gang. And these guys calling themselves Crips. And, I liked them. I liked the way they moved. I liked their style. And they, they enveloped me, man. They just, took me in,
Right. You're already associating more with, with the troublemakers than the stray kids anyway.
Yeah. And the way it was all given to me, these are neighborhood protectors and all that. And a lot of people never took it personally. They talk about him, but he was in our park every day. So, I didn't have, pretty much, it was no way I wasn't going to meet him. You know what I mean?
Who's the him? Really?
Yes.
So tell me about that. I mean, that's a historic meeting.
Well, at that time, they was calling me Tex because I was coming from Texas. Hey Tex, let's go do this, let's go do that, and I was always game. I mean, this is gonna be a beast, But as time evolved, then I became from Tex to Mike, and then it became Psycho Mike because I would do some of the damnedest shit. Whatever you want to do, let's do it. Y'all playing, let's get it done. So. Man, that's that name builder. That's
kind of puffing,
right,
and
right.
Getting that street cred.
And that's how you build that name. And so it wasn't me who developed this. It was another dude who gave me my name. I had another guy from another set of Crips, so he used to call me Twilight. And anyway, this dude said, I'm gonna show you how to tag your name, man. We're gonna give you something different. So instead of putting PSYCHO, they would spell it CYCO. And instead of using MIKE or MICC, it's spelled Mike, MYQ. So it gave me a unique spelling and so that was my uniqueness that made my individual. So now I have to make this name ring.
Right.
And now I have to make this name ring in association with this set, which was A-Tray Gangster. So now, now I'm building this status and these street creds. And now we got to send you back to Texas,
So who said we got to send you back to Texas?
My family, my aunts and uncles, they like, man, we got to get you back to Texas.
They could tell you were.
Yeah, well, he knew I was out there because he was a gangster himself, like, man, I don't want to see you get killed out here.
Your uncle was?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, he was already a gangster, man.
So how closely did you work with in terms of, it started out a lot less of a complete outlaw organization, right?
Right. Yeah, it did. No, I didn't really work with him, but he was a dude who I would see on a daily basis. You know what I mean? Every time he was in the park, he was at our park all the time, which was St. Andrews Park. Now we call it Gangsterland Park, but he was always, at the park, so I would see him, talk to him, little dude, you're going to be somebody, that type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then, he ended up disappearing. Well, we didn't know at the time at least I didn't know at the time he was locked up, but my brother knew he was locked up. But anyway, I ended up coming back to Texas. That's why I say, if you say you from A-Tray Gangster and you live here in Texas, then if you don't know me or know about me, then I question that. I question I question your authenticity, and I do it every time. I don't care who you are, how far back. I'm gonna question that,
right?
Because I know my part in that set.
Yeah. Hence your OG moniker, too,
right?
Because
right.
you're bringing that to a brand new location,
right?
So did you do anything to try to establish or carry on any of that set you came back to Fort Worth?
Yeah. No, not really. Not honestly. No, I didn't, because they was on, when I got back, they was more cool, they was more cool ladies man type thing. They wasn't gangster like that,
Yeah.
And for a long time, I wouldn't really, deal with them. Then I had people in San Fernando Valley. My cousin Joe, he went out west, and he stayed in San Fernando Valley, which is a completely different thing from South Central Los Angeles, night and day type.
Yeah, all the way on the other side of town.
Right,
too.
right.
I mean, that's a trek.
Yeah, and so when he came back, everybody's cool. Everybody got these big afros, So I want to be cool too. So it kind of switched me up rather than moving and trying to recruit people for the set and different things. We was doing something completely different. But where I was at in that neighborhood, Berry Hill, we became well known in Berry Hill. That's them dudes from Berry Hill. They started calling it Boot Hill because, we're going to put that work in,
Okay.
So, but then I had the the gangster friends, and I had the player friends, you know. And then I had in the middle, I had a bunch of square friends.
You still kept some square friends.
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
I got, you know, most of my friends are square today because I'm a whole different, you know, it's a whole different
Of course.
thing now.
Well, I'm living proof of that.
Yeah, of
You got-
course,
you
of
know,
course.
We're
Yeah,
friends. You got a nerd friend right here.
Yeah, right,
Yeah.
right.
So that's so fascinating. How at what point did you move back to Fort Worth? About what stage of your life was that? You and your do you
I had
by
to
then?
be
or
about 16, I think, 15 or 16.
15, 16. Okay, so
Somewhere.
you're still a young cat,
Oh,
but
yeah.
you're experienced
Yeah.
in terms of
Oh yeah, because I never cared to hang around guys my age. That was never my thing. All my friends was always older than I was. When you know most dudes that were my age, they were still on kiddie stuff, and you know, my mentality was so far removed from that, man. I was on more adult things. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
My girlfriends were older. You know, I never had I may have had one girlfriend my entire life that was my age. All my girlfriend was always older because they always thought I was older, you know, because I didn't carry myself like, you know, like young cats did at that time.
Yeah.
You know, a little bit more advanced.
So tell me about the first experience you had. So you had a little bit of experience going in and out of the system, obviously, and you had some racist experiences.
Oh,
you
yeah.
had some
Yeah.
assaultive experiences, whether it be home or elsewhere.
Yeah.
But talk about the first thing. What motivated you to commit the crime that got you arrested? And then tell me about your very first experience in real prison as an adult. Because I'm just curious about how you're so good and expressive about explaining how you feel and the things you see and the emotions that you felt. I'd love to hear your version of that first experience you had.
Well, after TYC, you know, I always wanted to work. I always kind of wanted to follow one of my older brothers, James. He was always you know, he had been in the streets a little bit, but never really got into no real trouble. He was a working dude. He liked to work and dress. That was his thing. Work and dress. You know, I used to always say, man, if I could find somebody who could outdress my brother, he got to be a bad dude, you know, because that was his thing. He worked and dressed. So I wanted to follow in those type of footsteps. Even at the time I got sent to TYC, I had already had a couple of jobs. You know what I mean? I would lie about my age just to get a job, you know. So I was working. I was always working. I worked at, you know, Wise Cafeteria, Piccadilly Cafeterias. Always something, you know, dealing with food service. So,
were you always hustling on the side? Or were those times where you actually straight for a little bit?
No, there was time when I wouldn't do anything because I was working, you know.
Yeah.
See, it was always like this with me most of the time. If I worked, if I had an income, I didn't have a reason to hustle. See, I wasn't one of those who, you know, I got a job and I do this on the side. If I had a job, I had a job. And that's all I was going to do with work.
Okay.
But it's in between those times when I wasn't working and I'm thinking, man, I don't have money to do this. I don't have money to do that. I got to do something.
Okay.
Now I feel like my back is economically against the wall. You got my back against the wall. It's not like I'm not trying to get a job because I was go in there and fill out an application at anywhere. It didn't matter. But if you don't hire me, now I'm starting to feel some kind of way, you know, man.
Okay.
I got to do something. You know?
I didn't mean to digress because I know you were on a trajectory, but I was just curious about that stage. If you had a job, so you're at Piccadilly and
I worked, and then I worked at a place called Nash Manufacturing, which was a good job. I liked it, Nash, and I still don't even remember how I lost a job or did I go to another job. I really don't even remember, but I know. After my first trip in prison, I ended up going to prison. I had a burglary of a building, and I had a attempted burglary of a habitation. Some guys made a citizen arrest, and years later, I found out that was a setup, not the citizen arrest, the burglary part. Because the dude told me, "Well, come to the house, man. We're gonna play some dominoes." Well, I'm knocking at the door. Don't nobody come to but I see people outside. Now, who's going to commit a burglary with people, you know, standing around outside?
Right.
So I went around to the back. And I'm saying, well, I'm not going to. I thought I heard people in the house. So I went around and knocked on the window. Next thing I know, it's a guy on this side of the house with a rifle, a guy on this side of the house with a shotgun. And so I ended up getting charged with attempted burglary.
Were they associated with the house? Or they just neighbors?
They was in neighbors. They was just neighbors. So I ended up going to jail for that, but by that time, I think I already had a burglary of a building case pending.
Okay.
Not that I was caught in that, fingerprint type thing. They found some
Okay.
fingerprints. And it was my case, it was my case. But, and a lot of times, in the streets, if you get caught and I'm thinking, I didn't do this, man, so-and-so did. But you don't tell the people he did it. You take that case. So I ended up doing a lot of that. I took a lot of cases for people that I didn't even do, but just that name, that name was associated with that style or that type of crime. So they'll come get me. You know what I mean? So
it does hurt when they think you're doing something and then they realize that you've done this before.
Yeah.
It's harder for you to explain.
And a lot
not that it's right at all.
Right. And a lot of times that would anger me so much. I'm like, man, this is what y'all don't charge me with. Let me go out and get me one of these cases. This way, when you come get me this time, I know you got the right person. So
yeah, I'm starting to see a pattern in that, Mikey.
Yeah. And so I had a friend, one of my best friends, may he rest in peace. His little brother got into a little altercation with another neighborhood guy. And when somebody came and told me, hey man, dude around there trying to jump on Perry. I was, what? Here I go. First thing I did was reach in the kitchen drawer and grab the knife. I went around the corner and stabbed the dude up, collapsed his lung. And that went on case 2. That's why I say my first time in prison, I had a burglary of a building and assault with a deadly weapon. Right.
Okay.
So that was my first experience in prison. I didn't get but 3 years.
You only got 3 years.
I got 3 years.
Well, fortunately, that cat lived, or else that would have been.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I've seen him since. We've been in prison together. We was in prison together, some years back. So,
man, that's a whole
neighborhood
story.
guy. Yeah, he's a neighborhood guy.
So when you're the new boot, like, what's that experience like?
Man, that is a horrible. Well, by me already been in that system. So when I got there, some of the guys that was there I already knew. I knew them and they knew me. Still, you have to be tested. So somebody's going to test you. Now, you got to think now, at that time, TDC was, you ate what you pick. You follow what I'm saying? You have to go to those fields. You got to pick those green beans. You have to pick that cotton. You got to dig up those potatoes. You got to dig up those peanuts. So what you bring in is what you eat. And of course, you picking for that entire place and then whatever they going to sell. Then officers had what you call emoluments then. So the same thing you picking is going to their houses too. They have BOQ, bachelor's officers quarters. Then they have, quarters for ranking officers, so in their families. So you feeding them too.
Yeah.
Man, that is the most, it was a book I read some years back called Texas Tough. Man, that dude gave such a beautiful insight into what that prison was like. Cause man, it was just legalized slavery.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's legalized slavery. You got a man sitting on a horse calling you every name but your name. And then we had another field officer. His name was Lieutenant Adams. They called him Screaming Eagle. This is the original. You got some other people they call it, but that's not who Screaming is. It was Lieutenant Adams.
Okay.
Red hair, and he carried a whip. And he never, now, honestly, I never seen a man hit anybody with that whip, but he could bring it so close to you, and you hear that pow, and you just go fast.
Just having a whip in general.
Oh, yeah,
so
yeah.
freaking lame.
But them horses would bite you. Say, it's a field squad. Y'all all moving in a straight line. Everybody's on. So you start slacking off. You start lagging, and guess what happens? That horse will bite you. He gonna keep biting you till you catch up with the rest of that squad. And it was brutal. And all that was legal back then. I'm assuming it was, legal until Judge William Wayne Justice said it wasn't legal.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was brutal, man. That first time in, and of course, it wasn't a lot of stabbing, but it was a lot of fights every day. Fights every day, fight in the field, and that's you would really want to have a fight. And some people would rather have a fight than have to work. That's just how hard and how brutal the work was. It was brutal, man. It was brutal.
That's bizarre.
And all you had to do, because we couldn't refer to the officer as CO or none. He's either Boss Johnson or he's boss. I never heard the word officer. I never heard the word guard. It's, if you get, and have you ever seen the movie Cool Hand Luke?
No, but I know the term so well.
Okay. Well,
Redford. Or,
no, it's
Paul Newman.
Paul Newman.
Paul Newman,
Okay, yeah. Paul Newman, Burgess Meredith, a few other people. George Kennedy, those actors.
It's been a long time
Yeah.
since I've seen it. I wouldn't remember much.
But in this movie, it's like when you got ready, you tie your little string on there, you keep that bush. I'm shaking it, boss. I'm shaking. You get ready to take a leak, need to pour it out, boss. You go take, you go take a piss, need to fire it up, boss, fire it up. Because if he don't say light that cigarette, you bet not, because he didn't have to do anything. You had what you call a lead row and a tail row. You got one is on each end of that field line of that squad. No less than 30, 32 man squad. Some squads were bigger, maybe a few smaller, but they was probably guarding squads. Anyway, in this line, the way it's structured, you have a lead row and a tail row. In the middle is called a swing. Behind the swing is some guys called strikers. They supposed to get everything that you miss. So if you messing up in that, and you keep messing up in that line, that lead row, that tail row say, can I have him, boss? You can have him. He finna beat you better have some nice hands because you're already exhausted. So they do this every day. He's not tired at all, so you get your ass whooped there. Then when you get back to the building, you have turnkeys who operate the gates and cell block doors. He gonna whoop your ass, or they gonna whoop your ass. And when they get through, then you go into the block. The block has what you call row tenders or building tenders. And the building tender gonna kick your ass. So, the whole system was set up. It's just so brutal,
Right.
So brutal. And the only way that you get out of that, you're gonna have to get pretty good with your hands. So,
And yet doing that also often costs you more time.
yeah.
Because you're in fights and something happens, some significant event happens
Yeah.
in that fight, then you catch another charge.
Yeah.
And then you stay longer.
And of course, back then you had a whole, this is way before PREA, which is Prison Rape Elimination Act. This is way before PREA. So you had rapes going on, all that. That's just prison life. That's what goes on in prison. And the guards didn't give a shit. They don't care.
So did you feel reasonably comfortable, I guess, just because of your experience with the system in general and having a few comrades?
Yeah. I mean, you always, at least me, and I'm pretty sure everybody experiences who goes to prison or been in and out of prison. I wasn't uncomfortable. The uncomfort for me was being in a new place doing a different type of work.
Okay.
That was my uncomfortableness. But as far as being in that environment, I felt right at home.
I can't imagine. Well, I mean, you've got to assume that the racial segregation still happens.
Oh yeah,
present.
well it was extremely racially segregated. Then you had black cell blocks, Chicano cell blocks, white cell blocks. Never know. They didn't integrate in TDC, I think, till 1978. 78 they integrated, and they start first. They put. They had to have, 2 blacks, 2 Chicanos, 2 white, 2 black, 2 Chicanos, 2 white. And then they went even further and started making you sell it, started making you sell with them,
So I have 2 questions.
Mm.
I would be interested to know, since you've been in prison during that era and more recent era, the racial divide is very unfortunate anyway.
Yeah.
Was it easier when it was already segregated, or was it easier when it was integrated but still trying to stay segregated within it, if you know what I mean?
It was easier when it was integrated because at one point you had TDC trying to modernize themselves, had counselors, and the counselor would ask, can you be racially integrated? Yes or no. If not, then they wouldn't put a person from a different race in the cell with you. Just cell with a black person.
Mm-hmm.
Wherever you go, you cell with a black person. Now it's on file. I don't cell with other races. Finally, they did away with that. So, you get what you get.
Mm-hmm.
But prior to that, the experience was, even amongst blacks, there was always that little racial divide, still a color divide. Let me put it like that.
Right.
Because if a dude come in, let's say a guy my complexion, he may have a little break. A guy lighter skinned it, and you see that, look who just come in. Then they gonna holler, fresh fish, new meat.
Right.
And it just goes down the block. Then this dude come in, he got to be ready. Well, he happened to be light complected, a Smokey Robinson type guy.
Yeah,
you know,
Red.
boy, he's in trouble. If he don't know how to fight, he better learn quick, because they coming. And that's why I say once it integrated, it became better. You know, because that was a point. I mean, TDC, you just wouldn't believe. I never forget. They put this white guy in the cell with me, good dude named Charles Graff out of Houston, Texas. And the first thing, the next morning, they called me to the captain's office. And I'm watching, he writing his paper, and he say, here you go. I say, what's that? It's your goddamn papers on this boy. It better not nothing happen to him. So he gave me property papers on him. This is my property. But here's the big thing about it. He made it my property because he knew if he's my property, he's going to be protected. You see what I'm saying? Whatever happens to Charles got to happen to me. So I'm not going to let you bother Charles. Man, that system was so brutal, man.
Yeah. And so I guess some people actually acclimate in, though, to where
right.
now with integration, it's not completely segregated, I would assume.
No,
some people have got to be able to get along. But
not in state prison. No, state prison is not. But it is in federal prison. At least in the United States Penitentiary, in USP, it is segregated unless you get a white guy who comes in and he's on, let's say he's on gang time. Say he's a white guy, he come in and he's a Crip or he's a Blood. Well, he's going to be in a cell with a black dude. He's going to be in a cell with another Blood who's, 9 times out of 10 is going to be black.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. Or he's a white Crip. He'll be in a cell with a Crip.
Right. Those are rare, but that's an unusual case, right?
Yeah. It's a lot of them in federal prison system.
Yeah.
There is a lot. But, once again, there's the racial thing there too. You have, it's broke down more in states. You know what I mean? If you're from Texas, you're in a Texas car, so you sit with the Texas guys at the Texas table.
Because you have more in common?
Right. Well, it's just the way the political thing is set up.
I mean, it's run by yourselves, right? That's not.
Well, no, you have somebody who speaks for you. You got a speaker on that unit. You have a speaker that has the car, who runs the whole car.
Right. But they're all prisoners.
Yeah. Oh,
still
yeah.
Running.
Of course.
I mean,
yeah.
So, I mean, a lot of it still could be construed as not necessarily segregation in terms of hate, but some of it is finding cultural
right. Likeness.
Relation. Yeah. That's interesting. That's interesting too. So I understand that. I appreciate you clarifying that, why that would be better.
Right.
And obviously, integration is better in general.
Yeah.
But you still see people self-segregate.
Oh yeah.
Because again, you got cultures that stick together, and that's fine. But it's not really segregation. That's
no, it's not. Because the unit and the place itself is very much integrated. Then you have. I only seen the whole time I was in prison. In federal prison now, I seen one black guy who was on Native American, Asian Pacific Islander time. All those, if you Native American, guys from the island, Asians, that's one car. They all in the same
one
car.
lump. Yeah, it's a small lump. Otherwise, it's almost
but it's the same car. But you'd be surprised how many Native Americans are in federal prison. You got a pretty big population.
Yeah.
Especially in places that are near
reservations.
Yeah, near reservations. Places like Florence, Colorado. It's a lot. It may be the biggest Native American population there at Florence, USP High. And on the West Coast, Atwater, Victorville, they got a lot of neighbors. But you also have a big Samoan and Tongan car there too, which all those are together. But you got a lot of them that are Crips and a lot of them that are Paru Bloods. Yeah.
So do you feel like there are a lot of people inside that have an experience with being assaulted young?
Oh, yeah.
You do?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because you know what they say, real recognize real and game recognize game. It's a true fact.
Yeah, it's
You know,
instinctive.
you know when it done happened to somebody else. You don't even have to tell me. I know. I feel what you feel. I feel that same anger. I can sometimes feel that same shame. I know when you've been there and when you ain't.
So
It's just that I may not know the specifics of what happened to you, but I know it happened to you.
of course. And do you think, not that they're appreciated elsewhere, but do you think that's why chomos are particularly looked down upon and treated so poorly in prison because of that populace of people?
Exactly.
Do you find it
And
ironic that a lot of guys that are the Livingstons are also part of the Gen Pop also?
Yeah.
Does that make it difficult?
Well, see, it's not, they won't make it in the general population.
Yeah.
They don't make it. I'm telling you now, they do not make it. They are, man, they pretty much, it's like you throwing raw meat to a shark. They will tear him to pieces, man.
Right.
As soon as they find out, they'll tear him to pieces, man. Once but a lot of times they tell you when you get to the unit, when you get to the compound, they tell you, tell me now if you can't go out there, if you can't walk. If you can't walk the yard, tell us now. And then I can walk anywhere. And then you go out there, and next time you know, he a bloody mess.
Yeah.
Yeah. But now they got compounds designated for them. Very few make it. You're gonna, get there. They got places like Tucson, Arizona, Terre Haute, Indiana. So they don't have to worry about that.
Okay, so you go through that prison experience, and then you get out and you go in, and you get out and you go in. You seem like you've spent a lot of time being the Mike that I don't know, right?
Right.
What? Tell me about the time that you got out before the case that we met each other in. Tell me about the time that you got out and what your frame of mind was. Because,
when I got out before I caught the federal case, my whole mindset was I just wanted to work. I wanted to get me a job, work. Even before then, when I was released from state prison in 1990, I just wanted to work and have a job and just be square. I finally got it in my head, man. It's hip to be square, man. These people not going to prison, man. Only crooks are going to prison.
Right.
Only lawbreakers. It's always that few people who get falsely accused. I met some of those who were innocent as a day-old kid, a day-old infant. But when I was released, that was my goal. And I ended up getting a job in 1990 at a place called Regal Ridge Apartments, right there on Campus Drive and something, Campus and Seminary.
Mm-hmm.
I got a job there at Regal Ridge Apartments, and I was doing good job, had my place to live, all that. And what happened, I ran into an old friend, and I'm like this, T, I've always been this way. I might make you a promise, and I might break it. Because I've had so many promises broken to me. But what I don't break is my word. If I tell you, I give you my word, man. You got me if you need me. And this dude was one of those dudes I never forget. He saved me one time. So it was time for me to return the favor. I didn't know what he wanted to do. I didn't care. I'm going to honor my word. And now, mind you, I'm working now. Got money. I ain't doing nothing illegal. Nothing. I mean, zero. Unless you want to call tossing up a 40 and driving on the way home, I'd probably break the law like that.
Well, back then, actually, it probably wasn't.
Yeah,
in the early 90s, they didn't have that law yet.
So, anyway, he pulled up one night. He said, man, I need you, man. All right, what you got? He said, man, I know this place now. Oh, man, I'm thinking, got to do what I got to do. He said, look, man, it's just a robbery, bro. You ain't got to do nothing. So, anyway, we go to this little convenience store, gas station, and he's supposed to knew what he knew. And I'm pretty sure at that time, or there was a time when he knew exactly what was laid out in there. But man, I went in there and pulled this pistol out on these people and didn't know this was one of them stores where you don't know change they got the money come down out of a little tube. I don't know if you ever seen that.
Yeah, like the little bank.
Yeah. Man, give me the money. I'm giving the money, son. Well, I'm all day in here waiting for I'm just waiting to go to jail. In my mind, I'm thinking, well, here we go. And sure enough, as soon as I get to the car, we was in a white Cadillac. As soon as we leave the place, no sooner we got on the freeway. Oh, man, now we're in this high-speed chase. Look out the window, I see the helicopter coming in the distance. Oh, shit, this is over with. So I end up getting arrested again. Needless to say, end up with a robbery by threat,
So what changed?
And then, now, wait, I get out again. So I go do that bid. I get out.
You paroled or you get?
Yeah, I'm paroled.
Okay.
I get out, and I'm thinking, okay, here's you another shot, bro. You got to get this one right. So, and I'm with my brother Isaiah. I'm with Isaiah over on the south side. And I'm filling out all these applications. Man, I need you to take me this. I need you to take me here. And and I'm like, man, bro, you got all these cars in the parking lot. Give me the keys to one of these, man. Let me do what I need to do. At the time, my sister, Sandra, rest in peace, she died in 2008, breast cancer. So I'm like, man, you going to get rid of that Cadillac, sell it to me. Let me get that car. You know what I mean? No, Michael, it don't run right. It don't run right. So it don't run right, but you give it to your youngest son. Rather than selling it to me, you give it to your youngest son who's with a nice lady and they have a kid. So, that made me feel...
Gypped?
No, it made me feel worse than gypped. Why would you tell me that the car don't run right and it's just me, but you give it to your youngest son who's with a lady that they have a child together? If it don't run right, why would you give them something that's not dependable? That's my point.
You just feel like you're lied to.
Yeah, it's like, no feel like I was lied to. Ain't no feeling.
Yeah.
She lied to me, so it really made me feel some kind of way. I mean? Like, damn, man, why would you? And I'm out here struggling. I'm trying to get here and there, here and there. And, needless to say, I ran into some other guys and, hey, man, you know what you need to do, man? Man, you don't get nothing, man. Come back and holler at me. I got you. Well, I don't know how he got me, but, I knew the guy, knew something about him, knew something about the crew he had with him.
Just trying to get a ride?
I'm just trying to, and I'm trying to get a job. I want a job, man,
Right.
So, anyway, I go talk to him. Hey, man, things ain't working out, bro. And I need to get out of my brother's house, man. Not that he pressing me or anything, man, but I just need to go, man. I got, he said, well, look, this is how this works. Da. Now, not that crack wasn't around in 1990s. I was well aware of it. But when I got out, I'm looking at it, he said, just watch. I'm just sit in the car and watch this. So I'm watching this traffic, watching how this is moving. And I said, man, they making money, man.
Mm-hmm.
You see, that's what I'm trying to tell you. Look, I'm over sitting. So needless to say, there I go. I'm in the drug game now. That was my way in. And once I got in, I started saying, why am I getting all this money? I can't even spend all this money. I keep steady getting money, steady getting money. So, fuck a job. I got one. I sell crack.
Yeah.
I sell X. I sell heroin. I sell powder cocaine.
Without the thought of where the consequence.
Well, I should tell certain, I have certain customers like, man, come on, man, let's keep this shit moving, man. I mean, I'm trying to get the man, keep this shit. I'm out here taking a penitentiary chance. So I'm well aware I'm taking a penitentiary chance. But here it is, to my way of thinking, let me calculate what's going to happen if I get caught. How much time I'm going to get? Can I do the sentence? See, I'm thinking this way. A job is not even thought about. No, I have a job. I'm a crack seller.
Yeah, you're
that's
prepared to pay,
pay
the penance.
Yeah, exactly. Because now that's my mindset. I don't even want a job now. And now I'm pissed off. I didn't feel like society owed me nothing. Let's not get that part wrong. It's just that for whatever reason, I'm not being hired, so I don't want to be hired now. I got a job, that was my mindset. That's how I felt. So.
How long did you give, how much of a breath did you give yourself to try to find a job, or did this just kind of fall in your lap before you gave yourself enough a chance to get?
I really never stopped trying until I started selling dope, and then I just stopped. I'm not trying no more. My hand getting cramp. I would take, 2 or 3 applications from this place, 2 or 3 from that. Go to an interview, wait on a second interview. I'll call you and I'm sweating the phone. I'm just waiting, and it just never happened. It never developed for me. So,
And this was at what point? What year was this? Do you know?
this is 2003, 4, somewhere.
Okay.
around there.
So this is what?
5.
Yeah. So this led up to our case.
Right. Yeah. And that led up to Operation
Didn't you
Fishbowl.
have a job though at one point there? You had a job
No.
and then lost it or something?
No, what I was doing, I was actually working with a childhood friend of mine. He had a lawn service, so I was working with him for a while. And this was another deterrent, another thing that crushed me, man. I couldn't, if I could have expressed to this lady how that made me feel, man. Every time I think about that, I still feel that bad feeling. I told her, I was so happy to tell her, I got a job. She said, oh, you got a job? Bring your checks to us. I said, no, he pays in cash. It's a lawn service, the people pay him and I work for him. No, Mr. Holt, you got to get a job that has a check stub. Man, I just let all that out, just killed my enthusiasm, everything. I'm like, all right, I see where this is going. So once again, I'm crushed. So I know what to turn to. It's easy to find your way back to the streets. I've known that all my life.
Of course. But that's why I wonder, the easy way out, especially when you're better at that.
Yeah.
Than
yeah.
you are,
yeah.
Holding it down
Right.
straight when it's tough to get a job. It's got to be even tougher to get a job when you've been in and out of the system.
Yeah.
So then tell me a little bit about how that operation went. I mean, because this ain't my story. This is your story.
Yeah. Well, as far as the operation went, I kind of like stepped into that investigation. It was already kind of in play.
Yeah.
When I came along. And
that was, 2005.
Yeah.
6 and 7.
Yeah.
So it was around that time.
Yeah.
So you had kind of dabbled before, but you had just gotten out. I mean, it was pretty clear to me you just got out.
I did.
For our listeners, this is a case where I was working undercover and you were working with the
with those guys. With that crew.
There,
And I just kind of, I don't know, because and then I had reached that point by the time you came along. I was really at a point where I was wanting to do something else. It was the, it gets hectic, the monotony, always got to keep it sharp. It's like I never forget one day these guys came by and they like, hey man, if you don't mind, man, he's jumping around, grabbing his crowd. Man, I need to pee, man. I got to use the bathroom so bad. Man, can I use your bathroom? I said, hell no, come on, man. I already see it, bro. I see you, I see your partner, I see the car. Come on, man. Your player's already busted. Because, if I have to, I kill all y'all, man. Won't give it a second thought, So you're like, oh no, man, I really want. But then anyway, they got in the car and drove off. And the guy, I'm pretty sure you met. This is one of our guys down there, cousin. So I'm like, he's like, man, I'm so glad you. He said, Mike, I know that dude, man. They jackals, man. He said, I already know it. I seen them when they pulled up before he even got out the car, man. I already read them, man.
You're way too street smart to be taken.
Yeah, come on, man. Or as they say, I'm too old of a cat to be fooled by a kitten. You know what I mean? Come on, man. So,
which is part of the ironic part of this whole thing is that even then I could tell how much more articulate and you're a smart guy. And yet you were by far the oldest dude in this case.
Yeah.
I mean, by a long stretch.
Yes.
Hell, you're 10 years older than me.
Yeah.
So, and I was pretending to be 10 years younger than I was already.
Yeah.
So it was, it was part of the perplexing thing. You always expect you may have some young cats in this. Most of these cats were all in their mid-20s.
Yeah.
Between 25 and 30, most of them.
Probably.
But you were in your late 40s around.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I was damn near 50 years old. I think probably up under me had to be the guy under the tree.
Mm-hmm.
Two of the 3 guys under the tree were late 38, maybe one may have been 40.
That other
one may have been 40.
Yeah, there was like there's several operations going on here. We're trying to navigate this without just outing a bunch of names.
Yeah.
But there were
That's why
there were a couple different operations,
Yeah.
and some were actually older cats.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah.
And I say older,
Yeah.
but they were like my age at the time.
Yeah.
Which again,
But a lot
for
younger than me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A little bit of you
Yeah.
still. And for that game, I mean, it's dope. Yes. But so much of that thing was Crip.
Yeah.
And so everybody there was associated.
Yes.
And so to me, it was confusing a little bit that you were so smart. You could tell that you were an experienced guy. And I, I still had an affinity towards you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not as much as I do now that I know you.
Yeah.
Because it's even better than I thought. But it still perplexes me why you would get back into such a young man's game.
Yeah, because
you're not a young man anymore.
Man's game.
And I know that's where your mind is now. But was there anything that just intuitively told you just to, man, these fools are still playing this reckless game of cripping and doing this?
Yeah. I thought that a lot, but the factions was like this. You had those who wanted to be all about business and those who wanted to bang. And you can't mix that. You really can't. You can't mix gang banging and dope selling together, because you out there trying to sell dope or in a house trapping, however you doing it. You still got to be conscious of, here's a red flag coming. Oh, these are bloods, so now you can't, how do you have too much to think about.
That's interesting.
It's too much to think about.
That's interesting, because there was also cats in that case who ran a lot of the Crip sets out there.
Right.
Coupled at the 5 deuces,
Right.
4 trays, and
Yeah.
that ran the Crip stuff like a business. And they might say even the same thing about gangbanging versus running a dope gang. Because I know a lot of it has to interchange, but I think
it does.
Maybe what you're describing is the younger kids, which is probably the same way now.
Yeah.
I mean, there's still Crips and Bloods. They call them something else and whatever else. But when you start going nuts and trying to prove yourself, like did with MYQ,
exactly,
then it draws undue attention.
Yes, it does.
Then you got issues there, and you don't have cats that are astute and have experience and can stay out of the limelight and run their business. Is that an accurate representation?
It is.
So you started feeling like, man, you started having second thoughts about even in it because it's just so stressful.
Even though I knew some, you got to think in that mixture. You got 5 deuce, you got 4 tray, you got Grape Street, and of course you got 8 tray. So, and then we had a situation where a robbery took place. The guys ran in the house on us, me and another guy one time, and I really sit back. I was letting him do it. I didn't care, because he never pointed. His mistake was that I said, man, why are you doing this? The wild man. Why are you doing this, man? What are you doing? Man, ain't got nothing to do with you, OG. Ain't got nothing to do with you, man. Okay, man. But you pointing the shotgun at me. Now you bringing me into this, man. Please point the gun somewhere else, man. He wouldn't do it. I say, okay.
But he's also smart not to do it because.
Yeah. So the next time it happened, well, I was there. I'm there and I'm ready, because you done made me a part of this.
Yeah.
And so that's when all the shooting go down that night.
Which also speaks to the insanity, because for people who don't know these stories, this is a dude that robbed the spot you were in.
Right.
Twice.
Yeah.
That much of a crazy and an idiot all into one.
Yeah. And the third time he ran it, and I could hear him in the, don't go in that room. That's OG Mike room. Don't go, no, not that room, the other room. And the door kicked open. Okay, now I'm gonna give you what you're asking for.
Yeah.
And that's how, that happened. Yeah, that's how that happened.
Yeah. And I like I said, I can only imagine the amount of stress. I always wonder about anybody running a criminal enterprise at whatever level. It just seems like, especially when you're running Crips and you have a really well-run organization on paper,
right?
But you have so many other people that can mess it up for everyone.
Yeah.
So can you, for the sake of our audience, can you explain, when you say you've got 4 trade, 5 deuce, and all the different sets, can you explain kind of where those originated and how they end up in that area, what that actually means to somebody who doesn't know about gangs? Just to give me a layman's version of that.
Well, they're actually, those are 4 different sets. And of those 4 different sets, there's a little color difference. Let's say Grape Street, they use purple to represent that set.
Which originated
in Watts, California.
Right.
All right. Then you have, Hoovers, which actually was a gang before they became Crips. They were original Hoover Groovers. And, through
Hoover Street and
Southern
California, right.
Okay. Then again, California. And they was converted. It was already a big gang, the Hoover Groovers, but they became Crips. And him, some other people too. And one just took it by itself. But so that became a gang. Then you had Fortray, but before Fortray gangsters, you already had Fortray. You had Fortray Hoover, and then you had Fortray Avalon. Well,
how do you distinguish that to somebody who knows? You're talking about somebody you say Fortray to, and they're like, "What is a Fortray?"
Well,
so you're talking about street.
Yeah, I'm talking about street.
So
43rd Street. Let me just say 43rd Street.
Right. So 43rd Street turns into Fortray.
Yeah. That becomes same way with 5 Deuce. That's 52nd Street.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? 8 Tray. That is actually a street. 83rd Street. But it's usually, if you see it tagged, it's usually tagged ETG, 8 Tray Gangster.
Okay.
And same way with Grape Street. Even the way they do their gang sign, it looks like this, but it's a grape. Either way you turn it, it's a grape, and it resembles East Coast. Though East Coast is like this. This is open now. There's a C. You know what I'm saying? East Coast. That's East Coast.
That's way,
and that's Grape Street.
Right.
So it's a little. Everybody has their own way of flashing their gang sign or showing what set it is, what it comes from.
Okay.
The main thing, even if you miss what it is, you should be paying attention because all Crips don't get along. The biggest killer of Crips is Crips.
Right.
This is
because they're by far a bigger
right
gang population than like the Bloods.
Right. Always out. I don't care what.
Multiple.
It's almost nowhere you can go where Crips don't outnumber Bloods.
Right.
That don't make them soft though. They is just much gangster as you are.
Of course.
But that's the way that breakdown. All that coming out of California. There are no Crip sets. That is the motherland. That is where you pay homage to always.
And then it transferred around the U.S. via folks like you.
Yeah,
it was
exactly
that's a weird story where you end up moving across the country and then within the prison system and stuff like that.
And then within the prison system. Then you have gangs that are born in the prison. They not from the streets into the prison. They started in prison and went to the streets.
Right.
And of course I know a lot of them too. Pretty much, I know a lot of they founders.
The Tongo.
Class,
all that kind of stuff.
Well, Tongo is probably one of the most loosely.
Yeah. Well, because it started in a prison, it's gonna be everywhere.
And the word Tongo is actually an acronym. It means Together Against Negative Gang Organizations. And a lot of Tongo blasts, they don't even know that. But that's, like I say, I know these founders.
They don't manifest it, that's for sure.
Yeah, no, they don't. They have become, quite a entity themselves.
So, so we had some time together where we were both working in professional environment, I would say. This is a long time ago.
Right.
This is over 20 years ago.
Yes.
And, I was just trying to collect gang members and you ended up getting tied up into it. We did a handful of deals together and there was a bunch of other people. So you want to talk about the experience and what you felt when stuff like that was going down? Because the one thing that I remember specifically about from my perspective was in my mind, what I knew about certain people, I already knew. It was obvious to me who is going to be a real problem if they get out or don't get put in.
Right.
And the ones that I really had an affinity toward.
Right.
I thought, man, this guy probably has something. They're, it's not like a ton of them, I thought, because a lot of those youngsters were crazy. But
and there were some
people that I thought, man, I hope this guy gets the lightest sentence. But my conundrum was once my part was done, I had almost no control. All I could do is, beg the, assistant U.S. attorney, who also doesn't make the decision.
Right.
And then it depends on what judge you draw and all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
So once it got past the roundup and we were talking about rounding up, ultimately 51 people out of this neighborhood. Started in the neighborhood, which is kind of where your spot was.
It was.
But it expanded outside that neighborhood and ended up being a bunch of Crips would go down out of this based on the dope. Because obviously I know there's some white Crips, but I would be the whitest Crip in history. So I can't lay claim to that. So, so ultimately, your situation was one of the more disappointing to me, only because I didn't want to see you do the time that you were initially assigned. Can you talk on that? Just how you felt from your perspective, how your case kind of ended up coming to be and stuff like that. You talk a little bit about that?
Well, I knew, now let me take that before I even say that. I didn't know so much talking was going to go on. I didn't know once we're all captured, we're all rounded up. Now I'm starting thinking, okay, how do I do this? What can I do to try to make my sentence lighter? Because I already knew I'm finna get hammered. The oldest person with the longest criminal history. And a lot of that history is violent crimes. And that's what they're going to look at.
Yeah.
That violence.
Especially the feds, right?
Right, especially the feds. So I'm thinking, well, here's the best thing. And I had talked to a few of the guys about it. Look, this is the best thing for us to do, man. We're going against the federal government. If you want to go to trial, go ahead. I can't afford to. But if that's what you want to do, go ahead. But here's what I suggest. I suggest you try to find out what your guidelines are and try to get the less thing you can get. Just keep your mouth shut while doing it. That's all. Well, once not around me and you lose that influence and you get around some of these clowns is what I call them. Man, I'll get their ass up. I ain't nowhere in the world. I'll take all that time. But wait a minute, you did it though. Now you can't, always, deal with your own culpability and whatever, you do, whatever the crime is. If you out there, you playing gangster. So let's just see how gangster you are.
Right.
And then once the talking started, then it's the snowball effect. Now everybody wants to talk. Man, you ain't been talking. Don't talk now. And then some of these dudes supposed to have been so tough and so hard, they start talking too. So you can imagine what the so-called underlings would think. Well, man, my big homie talking. I'm going to talk too. Oh, no, brother. Because I never knew but nobody was talking at all until a guy came from Mansfield over to FMC Fort Worth jail unit and say, hey, man, I'm going to tell you something. He said, oh, you OG Mike. I said, yeah. He said, man, I already told them dudes, man, that you ain't from the hood no way. Y'all not from that hood. Say, man, get ass up. Shit, tell it on. And, that now, I just called the guy's name, but anyway.
I'll bleep it.
Okay.
I'll bleep
anyway, the guy says, well, if that's what he gonna do, then I'm gonna do it too. He gonna try to give me up, I'm gonna give him up. So, it started that war between those two guys, the back and forth, the phone calls, the threats, the this, the that,
Yeah.
And that even leaked out into the streets, where it was a bunch of, even though y'all may not have knew it then, but it was a bunch of shooting went on behind that. A lot of shooting, went on behind that. It didn't get reported as that.
I was almost one of them. I already
know. But that's exactly what was happening, And, when we all in jail, we looking back on it, he was like, and I told him, I said, man, I told the guy, I said, man, I knew it was something strange about the dude. And he said, why you say that? I said, y'all didn't see this, but twice I had seen you. You was in the blue Mercedes and you was at the Fina and you got out. I said, man, I never noticed the way this dude walked because I never seen him. I said, wait a minute, who I know? And I snapped. my nephew worked for the Fort Worth Police Department. He walks the same way. Always that right hand is a little bit further because she used to carry that firearm. He carries his firearm up here. He carries his taser. And I said, man, walk down. I say, God damn it, T is the police. The next time I seen you had just left our corner from scoring, and you went around the corner and scored from them. So I went, I said, man, well, y'all just don't want him to seal on. Y'all think we trying to take y'all customer. That's all. Y'all know. But they don't realize, my mind, I said, man, this man is making cases, building cases.
So you earlier on, before I came out,
right,
undercover, you were already kind of thinking,
oh man,
something's messed up.
It didn't fit. It didn't fit. You just scored a ton of dope for me. The parking lot deal.
Yeah.
Yet I seen you in the neighborhood scoring down here on Coven and Bell's Eye, and then you went around to Morningside and Bell's Eye and scored. Why would he need to do? I'm thinking, nah.
Yeah, because
now I put together the walk. It's all coming together now. But hell, it's too late.
This guy walks like a dork. What are we doing?
It's too late, man.
Well, yeah, and you can explain that there were 2 blocks in the main area,
right.
and it was distinctly different.
Yes,
dope.
yes, yeah.
It was good dope and it was crap dope.
Yeah.
And so the idea that you would see that, and then see somebody go by from one and then the other, that's why that would be suspicious. It's also run by 2 different spots.
Yeah.
So from your perspective, that would make sense.
Yeah.
And for an audience that doesn't know any of this stuff,
right,
that's kind of why that would look suspicious.
Yeah.
And of course, I always had my reason, because I also knew going over here, and I don't know what instance you're talking about, if necessarily if maybe I went to one spot and asked if so-and-so was here, and it might have been not even buying.
Yeah,
and go to the other spot.
That could have been what it was, but see, you didn't see me that day. I was coming through the park, but I was walking the dogs, so we had all these pit bulldogs. I'm walking the dogs, and I seen you. I knew you was scoring from somebody, but you went around the corner and then scored from under the tree. It didn't make sense to me.
Trash dope all of a sudden.
Yeah, it didn't. Yeah, it didn't make sense. And I'm like, well, everything is falling in place. But by the time you try to tell, oh man, that ain't what's going on. You just we think we trying to take y'all customer, man. Okay, man, whatever you want to think. But then years ago, the hammer comes down. We all arrested. We all in jail. And then, to kind of fast forward that, now here I am in prison, but this case is always on my mind, because even when you're trying to, not thinking about it, somebody else has something to say about it. They have something to say. So, man, you hear about Operation Fishbowl? Yeah, I know. And then somebody, oh, you OG Mike, you was in Operation Fishbowl. Yeah. But one night I'm laying there thinking, sometimes, when you in prison, you in a cell, you got a lot of time to reflect. So, and I'm just thinking about all the times, how many good cops have I known? Not many. I know a lot of bad cops, very bad cops. And then I'm thinking, how many? Well, there was a guy when I was a juvenile named Chico Pettis. Good man. Then there was Blaisdell and Cantfield. They called them Batman and Robin. Oh man, it was some of the crookedest damn, burglary division. And then I thought about, well, here's Broadwater. Now I've been arrested a lot of times in my life. Didn't always go to jail. I mean, with no conviction, but they should. I remember one time, just to put this in to give it some perspective here. One time I was arrested 3 times in a row. Back then you go to the city jail, 1,000 Throckmorton. You go to 1,000 Throckmorton. At 1,000 Throckmorton, you held up for 72 hours. If they let you go, then they didn't press charges. One time they did that to me for 9 days. They let me out, and as soon as I got to the corner to catch the bus, they'll arrest me again, 3 more days. Let me out, arrest me again, 3 more days.
Yeah.
But they never filed the case,
Man,
but you had to go through that in order to get to 300 West Belknap, which was where,
the case together.
Which was the old county jail back then.
Right.
But anyway, one night I'm in the cell and I'm just thinking about all that. I said, man, all the times I've been arrested, convicted, or whatever. Nobody never walked up to me and reached out their hand to me and say, Mike, I'm sorry, man. I was just doing my job. And I think about that all the time, man. You know, sometimes I get a little, a little emotional thinking about it because nobody never told me that, man. You know, and the things, man, that you done for me and some of the things that you exposed me to, showed me, told me, I just don't get that. You know, I know I have rescue issues. I want to save everybody, but I have trust issues that are just as powerful.
Right.
And I don't trust a lot of people. I really don't have a reason to, I mean, in my life, in my lifestyle, it's kind of like there's a saying that goes, if you're not in my set, you're not my friend. So, and I've lived by that for a long time, I mean, yeah, even though we might be cool, we might be all right, but I know you really ain't got my back.
Not all the way.
Yeah, you ain't really got my back like I got my back, like he got my back. You ain't gonna take a bullet for me, but I know some guys that will.
Yeah.
I know some. Right to this day, you have to shoot them in order to shoot me. And you may not get a chance to shoot them. They're a little bit quicker on the trigger than I am, But, I had just, looking back at that, nobody had never told me that. And that led me to, I need to find this dude, man. I need to find him. I need to find him and tell him, man, thank you, man, because nobody never did that for me. So I started this search. I'm like, come on, Mike, quit playing, man. You know some street people and you know a few square people. Find him. And sure enough, I had a friend who found you. He just mailed me the address. So I said, I'm going to write this, man. Of course, I knew it wasn't your home address, but, they found you. That was the first place you was at, that place downtown, wherever it was.
Anyway. Yeah, it was my office.
Yeah, exactly.
Business,
yeah, because I know you, I remember you writing, tell me, you need to write here because I'm changing from this address. I'm going to be somewhere. But anyway, I wrote the letter and I just wanted to express that to you, man. I appreciate that. Nobody had never told me that, man, and that gave me and I like I say, I got a friend there. He been there since 1990. I told my guy from Grape Street, I told him, I say, man, man, this dude told me that. He said, man, you bullshit. I said, no, bro. Man actually walked up to me and apologized for sending me to jail. Well, we laughed about it and joked about it. He said, man, you know what, though? I thought about that, Mike. That's got to be a genuine good dude, man. He said, you need to write him, man. You go and hit him. I said, I already have. By that time, you had wrote back and, the book was being, done and all that. And they wouldn't let me have the book in the state.
I noticed. I tried to send you the book. You requested it 3 or 4 different times.
Yeah.
I even kept them in their same rejection mails so that you would eventually see that I was trying.
It's always, I'm not going to even use the term crooked because this is not a crooked CO, but there's always somebody like you enough and trust you enough. And he said, man, you know what? I'm going to get that book for you, bro.
Oh, good.
And he said, I'm going to get that. So that's how we end up getting it smuggled
it's ridiculous that they wouldn't let you have it in the first place.
They said because of the pedophile guy. They say because they said how it had gang information and
information on a sex crime.
Yeah, and on the guy that that had the 14-year-old girlfriend. Him.
But they were worried about exposing.
I don't know. It just what I think. I still had that denial. I should have brung it with me, but I didn't. But I wasn't thinking about that. But they refused the book because of that. So it has content that includes gang information and the pedophile guy.
Well, somebody read it to get to the bottom of all that.
Oh yeah,
yes. That's the least of it. I mean, I think that it was emotional for me to receive it too, because like I said, I can't really, I'm not looking to go poke the bear.
Right.
But I couldn't have been more pleased.
Yeah.
I was tentatively pleased at first. I was thinking, when we received the letter, I was thinking, oh boy, because by then I still had the same phone number. So all these family members that are on the outside were sending all these threats, and I was getting all kinds of, know all the garbage that was going on.
Yeah.
So there was a degree of concern, but but I still had some hope. Once I read it, I thought, man, this is wonderful, because I would you would have been the dude I picked anyway.
Right.
To try to have a relationship with and try to understand more, and anybody that I can lend support to, because I think you really, really, really got screwed on the prosecution.
Yeah.
And again, it was out of my control, and it was really frustrating for me. I can only speak for myself. I can't imagine. I'm not saying that I could feel what you had to go through, knowing that you're the one that had to do all that time.
Right. But, and I seen Coffin Doffer, Jennifer.
Yeah.
I seen, well, I didn't, physically see her, but I watched a lot of
on the TV.
Yeah, Dateline and ID but what's her name? She always looked mean. Nancy Grace, is that her name? I think Nancy Grace. Yeah. Always look mean. And I remember it was on a Saturday morning. Her show come on a Saturday morning. I'm gonna say, and here with me today is Special Agent Jennifer Coffin. Man, I jumped up out I said, man, that's who man, that's the lady that was the case agent, blah, blah, But yeah, so I guess she still, unless she retired.
She's retired now.
Yeah, but she was still,
she still does.
Which has been, that's been 5-6 years ago.
Well, you can still find her on TV every once in a while. They'll call her and ask her, because she's she's got a lot to say on stuff, which is great. Yeah, she was, so that people understand, I was a Fort Worth gang unit narcotic officer that got assigned to the FBI for this undercover case.
Right.
And then they assigned me an FBI agent to bridge the gap between doing the undercover work and it was getting it submitted to the U.S. Attorney's Office as a federal case.
Yeah.
So otherwise, if I'd done the case, it would have been a state case. And so they assigned me to the FBI, give you deputization and assign you there.
Right.
And she was the one that they assigned me because there was only a single agent there. So I did all the undercover work and she did a lot of the paperwork, which for the feds is just a ridiculous amount of paperwork.
I bet.
But she also shared a lot of the compassion that I did. So I thought she was a great partner for that, for in that regard, because you can end up with, law enforcement is, you really know how law enforcement is.
Right.
And I see the same thing. I'm a dude and I'm not so biased.
Yeah.
I was a professional musician before I cut all my hair off and started doing this. So trust me, I got different perspectives than just, I'm not a lifelong cop and I appreciate them, but I also see it for what it is. When I see crooks and racists and whatever, I call it.
Man,
so
it is there.
I was grateful that it was her because she was also would bust her ass and work really hard. So that's who essentially you're talking about seeing, just to give some perspective on that. Saw her on the TV. She still does some consulting work or whatever. I guess that's really funny.
Yeah.
Was your experience with her pleasant too? Because I think
I didn't have a bad experience with her. She, we was extremely cordial. I mean, she used to tell me she used to always ask me, why do you know how much they saying on you? Why do you do this? And I remember I was walking out the door. She said, man, that's one tough ass old man. But I just had, you have your own code that you have to live. There's a street code and gang code, and then there's your code. You know what I mean? So
OG is OG.
Yeah.
So a lot of people will use that as letters flippantly, but not you. I get it.
Yeah, I can't. Yeah.
But at the same time, you're much more of a compassionate human and smarter than people will give you credit for, and more than capable. So I'm really proud to have you as a friend at this point. Man,
Me too.
It means a lot.
It means a lot to have you as a friend. I always say, man, friendship is a special place, and I'm glad we made it there.
And I'll tell you what else. I don't have very many real friends.
Yeah.
So I would do a lot for a lot of people because I'm a giving person, but when you talk about a friend, I got a really small group.
Yeah.
So welcome to the fold.
Yeah. See, because friendship has got me in a lot of trouble, man. I'm a bit of a loyalist, man. And something go bad, and when people call on me, man, I believe I should be there. You know what I mean? That's why I'm short on giving my word, man, but I'm long on keeping it.
So how can you give, if we can just talk as friends, how can you give me assurance? I already have faith in this, but I would love to hear how you will address the next person that comes and says, hey man, you kind of owe me one,
Mm.
and asked you to do something that you know
Mm.
is going to be the wrong thing because you've got a history of doing it. Even when you know you want to do the right thing, you say, I'm so loyal, I'm going to do this anyway at the expense of my entire life. What can you say that might be convincing to
guess what I'll tell him now? Fortunately for me, I don't have anybody like that. You know, all the people I gave my word to, it's all been done and so. But let's just say one did came to me now, and they know how I feel about my word. For the first time, they would call me one sorry MF because I'm not going to do it. If it's wrong, I'm not doing it. See, it is pure. I always say, if anybody want to see a real walking, living miracle, all they have to do is look at me. This is a miracle that I'm sitting here. I'm not dead. Most of my friends, and I mean good ones, people who I embrace wholeheartedly, family to me, they dead now. I got a few still left out there. We call, we talk on the phone, and you know, all of them have the same thing to say about me. The same two things. They say, man, I heard in you this time, man, you ain't going back. See, I've never told nobody that till this time. Man, I'm not going back to prison. Now, you may cross me out and send me to prison, but I'm saying if I got to commit a crime to go to prison, you shit out of luck. I'm not doing nothing else wrong. I'm done, man. I'm so done. I'm just the prison politics, the headache, the stress, and at Beaumont USP, stabbings occur daily. Whether they get reported or not is one thing, but listen to what I'm saying. Daily. Stabbings occur there daily. Ass whoopings daily. You know, man, I'm tired of the environment, man. It's not just I'm old and tired. I'm just tired, period. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just done, you know.
Which is different. Don't you wish you had finally just come up with that philosophy 30 years ago?
Yes. Do you recall one time I had wrote you and told you, T, my philosophy used to be this: I would rather be in prison before I be under somebody's bridge. Today, I live under that bridge before I go back to prison.
Yeah,
Ain't that something? See, that's not 180, man.
Well, I hope you know too, if you were under a bridge, you'd have help.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Yeah. And look the way Taylor just came out of nowhere, man.
Yeah.
Man, I love this woman to death, man.
Yeah, and Taylor, so
Man.
ultimately you got a sentence where the judge stacked your parole and the fishbowl sentence.
Right.
Your fishbowl sentence was 20?
Yeah.
But you had another like several years still to do in the state.
Yeah.
And you were already the oldest guy.
Yeah.
So we're already looking at life.
Yeah.
And so
he made it 40. I was doomed to die in prison.
Right.
Yeah.
So the moment you started writing, that was the moment I knew we had a shot. Now I knew at one point too, we helped you get moved to a different spot and different things, but I was like, man, how do we get this cat out? So I had a meeting with the federal judge. We had a meeting with him and another assistant U.S. attorney. I explained your situation. He was familiar with the case. He wasn't your judge, but he was another judge there in the federal courthouse. And after explaining what I'm trying to do, I said, if it costs me money, I get it. I'm just trying to find an attorney. I ain't no attorney. I'm not, and you can only file so many appeals before you're kind of done. And the last thing I wanted to see you do, try to write your own stuff. And
exhaust the remedies. Yeah.
So we were working on that. And so those both, the AUSA and the federal judge, both recommended one attorney. They said, this is the guy. This is the guy who really cares about what he's doing. And he's really good at what he does. And I thought, well, if this is the other side saying this defense attorney is the badass, then this guy, that's who I'm going to go. Yeah. I'm going to buy him a steak dinner, right?
Somebody with some tenacity. Man.
Yes. So we sat down. I finally got a lunch with him and we went through the whole scenario and it helped that I could use those other cats' names as, they're the ones that sent me here and explained the story and everything. He'd heard of the case. And Taylor was one of his employees. Yeah. So that's when essentially he's the guy and they got all these other cases or whatever. So I started working with Taylor. Right. And she started becoming infatuated with the story. She read the book. Yeah. She started having conversations with you because I'm like, look, I don't need to be a go-between. Yeah. If you're linked to the attorney's office, let's get the paperwork to where you can talk right with Mike and let's get this done. Yeah. and we knew that time was short. And
Yeah.
somebody had talked about last September through the end of the year was like a little window of opportunity for filing a case and all this. It was stressful on our end, but again, I don't want to make it sound like I was going through the stress that you were,
Right.
because I just knew like this is kind of a one-shot deal because you'd exhausted some.
Yeah.
And then like take it from there. How you end up being here?
Well, like you said, I had pretty much done all I could do. I had, exhausted all my remedies. So the only thing left that would give me some action would have been a compassionate release, what they call compassionate release.
Right. We were trying to file.
Right. And it wasn't based on my health, even though it's not, 100% today, but I just wanted to see my big brother again, and I knew that he was, I knew he had COPD real bad. And I remember just how it crushed me. I'm talking to him on the phone, and I remember how he was telling me, well, I don't walk too much no more, Mike. What you mean you don't walk? I knew his knees was getting bad before I left. He said, yeah. He said, man, he said, ain't that my legs ain't working. He said, man, I don't have the air. I don't have the oxygen to do all that walking around, man, I said, man, it's got that bad. He said, yeah, I got an oxygen tank. I got a wheelchair. And he couldn't see me, but boy, he don't know because I'm used to seeing my big brother. My brothers are strong dudes, these are the people I idolize,
Yeah.
And, it was hard for me, picturing that, trying to envision that, and, I thought, man, I need to get out of here, man. I need to take care of my brother. So, and that led to me, stressing, trying to do the compassionate release thing. And I remember when you told me, hey, man, whatever, I know you did a few things, whatever you do, don't do nothing. Don't file another thing.
Right.
We working on this end.
Yeah.
And, which again, that's what led me to the directness with Taylor. You can email me, you can call me. And I was telling you, I really don't like going through the phone is really it was not a problem for me, but see the way the phones in our unit was situated, you had a Chicano phone, you had a white phone, then you had Louisiana DC phone, and you had a gang phone. What does that put me? What does that put a South car or a Texas car? Now that's just in this particular unit I was in.
Yeah.
But I was so well respected, I could use any phone. I just didn't want to be on the phone being in somebody's way who, you always going to have somebody who, man, we always had to let old school use the phone, man. Well, OG Mike always on our phone, So to avoid that, I would just avoid the phone, So that's why I told Taylor, I prefer to write. Not only that I can express myself, but my letters may be long, but, I'll get to what I'm getting to, So eventually I started trying to do the email, whatever, I can't type. I can't. Even now, I email like this with my little finger. And lady asked me the other day, you know what a stylus is? Yeah, I know what a stylus is. I ain't just dumb. I just quit school in the 6th grade, but I'm not dumb, But anyway, we got to that. So, I was able to, communicate with her better. Now, like I say, I try to call her, text every chance I get. I talk to her mother, I talk to Jody all the time, just going good. And I told you the box arrived today. I got a box
package,
big as this seat we sitting in, just full of stuff, I mean, damn, Taylor. So I gotta notify, let her know what's going on. But yeah, the compassionate release thing was in play. We getting ready to put that in play. I think I had one more sheet to fill out and send that out to her. And, hey man, I'm in prison. So, what's in prison that's not out here? So I went to work. I worked in the education department. I went to work, and another one of the homeboys from Texas came up and said, hey, OG, man, you got clemency. I said, bro, I ain't got no damn clemency. Be working on my compassion release. I done told y'all that. Now, everybody in the education department, I got letters from, I still have those letters right now. I got to write these people back and, tell them thanks, because they were really in my corner, man. Really, really in my corner. So he said, man, we got a phone over there, man. We looked it up, bro. You got clemency, man. You got clemency. Now, they knew about it before my case manager knew about it. So on, they had told me like 2 weeks before, but I never get my case manager working that Saturday. And he came to my says, man, I hate to wake you up this morning, but I got some good news for you. I said, you do? He said, man, Now, this really puts icing on the cake because now I know it's not bullshit.
Yeah, man, if they were messing you with that, though, that's
Yeah,
really sorry.
But you got dudes, they'll do that. You know what I mean?
know.
You got some that'll do that, but it was too many people tell me, man, I seen you on, I seen it too, man. You know, we got a phone. They got a phone. When we all looked at you, man, you know, man, this shit got to be real, man. But when my case manager came in there and told me, said, man, it was on Saturday morning, he told me, said, man, you know, you got clemency. I looked at him first. I said, man, look, name is Mr. McGowan. I said, Mr. McGowan, you and I, you know, we all right, man. I know you don't know a lot about this because you was working recreation and you changed your position to become a case manager. So you just may not know what you're talking about. He said, man, listen, I can't tell you when you're going to leave because I'm not supposed to. He said, but before your birthday, you won't be in this prison. He said, I don't know where you won't be, but you will not be in the Federal Bureau of Prisons, man. He said, man, you got clemency for real. Man, that was the first time I cried. I knew then, man, this shit is real.
Yeah.
So I called a friend of mine from D.C. down to the cell. He out now too, as a matter of fact. We talked the other night.
Was he on the list too, or you just
No, he just ended up getting
Okay.
out. Yeah, all this FSA stuff, all that kicked in for him. But yeah, and I knew then it was real, man. You know, so I didn't even get a chance. They was supposed to give me the copy of it before I left, but they didn't. I ended up through Taylor. I ended up getting the copy, and I look at it almost every other day on my phone. I always show people, look, man, you see this sign by Joe Biden, man, this shit real. Because I wouldn't be sitting here talking to you.
Yeah, it was one of Biden's last acts. He
man,
1,500
1,500 and 39. Well, 1,500. Then he did another 39, which was political. You know, some political people that was locked up. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's good and bad that comes along with that.
Yeah.
Obviously, that was a day of celebration because I'm finding out the same way. People texting me. I did the same thing. Like, no.
Yeah.
Don't. I mean, let's make sure this is legit and everything.
Right,
They're sending me
right.
court documents, versions, and everything.
Yeah.
Like, man, are you kidding me?
Yeah,
and then, trying to reach you on an email, I'm like,
yes,
I know I'm not going to be the first, but I'm going to try.
Stop the press. I got clemency.
Yeah, I saved that message from you.
Did you?
Yeah. So I noticed also on that same list, interestingly, they released the rest of the Fishbowl guys too.
Yeah.
And
you know, I haven't really scrolled through that to look at that yet. I'll just look at my name because Taylor highlighted.
It's all good.
Yeah.
It's all good. I just, I have people that I have concerns about, some people that I don't. And so it's just interesting because I wouldn't balk with, since your name's on there, but I think, when they do the clemency, it's always because they're nonviolent drug cases.
Right.
I'm like, well, this Fishbowl wasn't a nonviolent drug case. This was Crips.
Yeah.
But again, the fact that they don't get it was to our benefit.
Right.
Because now you're out, and there couldn't be a better guy that they could get out and release to the world to let us know what else you got in you, man.
Thank you, man.
Talk about some difficult. First, I'd love to hear you describe the feelings once you got to this spot. You're staying at a place right now, and talk about what you appreciate. Maybe
about that place.
Yeah, well, not even specifically. Just I know we've had some of these conversations already, so I'm trying not to put words in your mouth. But you're eloquent when you describe some of the things that you enjoy, because it helps us all realize how simple life should be, and we all overcomplicate things. But tell me about some of the emotions, the things that you saw, you smelled, you felt, and that does your first 2 weeks out. Tell me about them.
My first 2 weeks.
This is after 20 years.
Yeah. My first 2 weeks was like so much of it was unreal to me. They say pinch yourself. I did it for real. I would actually, is this shit real, man?
Sure you don't wake up.
Yeah, and I would look over. Sometime I'd wake my one of my roommates up. I'd wake him up. Hey, man, am I really here with you? Because I mean, my head was really fucked up, to put it lightly. Because I mean, this shit is real, man. I'm really out. I'm free, man. And I would get up, even though they not supposed to, but I would go to the desk and tell, hey, man, can I go outside? He said, man, it's 3 o'clock in the morning. Man, I'm not going anywhere. I just want to, because I wanted to see the stars. I never saw the stars at Beaumont USP because, you're around all these refineries, and it's always clouds, from the emissions from the factories. But I went out there and I looked up, and man, it was the first time I seen stars, and I was thinking, I couldn't even remember how long ago it had been since I seen stars. And when I seen them stars, it's like, man, you really are free, man. You really out. You really out. The bed, because I don't know if I told you, my first 3 days out, I didn't sleep in the bed. I slept on the floor because the bed was too comfortable. It was like, man, this shit real, man. I'm sinking in this, man. This is, nah, this ain't right. So I would sleep on. They come in, hey, man, you're not supposed. Hey, look, I got to do this, bro. So they thinking I got a bad back. So okay, you say I got a bad, I'll go along with that. Eventually I worked my way to the bed, though. And then I could, just get up when I wanted to get up. I could walk around, and nobody had to readjust their knife or. You're really free. I mean, you out. I mean, I've always tried to make this distinction anyway. Even though I was in prison, I was always free because I could, my freedom was my mind. I could go anywhere, I'd do anything. If that didn't work, I'd get a National Geographic magazine or put it on National Geographic channel. But what I didn't have was liberty. I couldn't move when I wanted to move. I couldn't come out of that cell when I wanted to. Most of the time, you're on lockdown because of some violence or too many people checking in the solitary. I think I sent you one of the memos one time, and people requesting protective custody and all that. So we on lockdown for one reason or another. It's just a violent place.
It was actually unbelievable how long you stayed on lockdowns.
Yeah,
long stretches. I mean, you may as well have been in Seg.
Yeah,
and I drove 6 hours to come visit you.
Yeah,
and I couldn't even visit you.
And got turned around. Man.
Yeah. I'm not saying woe is me. I'm just saying that's how ridiculous it was, is that I could call ahead in the morning.
Yeah.
And we just conceded like, I'm not going to be able to even come visit you because this place is so ridiculous. We got to wait until you can email me a week later when you get 4 hours.
Right.
Unbelievable.
And still you might not, by the time you get there, it might be locked down anyway.
Yeah.
They've kind of relaxed that a little bit. Now, not the lockdown, but they'll let you get a visit even though they're on lockdown, unless it's ESD, which is emergency security detention. If it's that now, ain't nothing happening. But yeah, my first 2 weeks out, man, I was still trying to grasp the fact that it's real. Even now, though, the only place I go, like, T-Mobile about my phone, Walmart, little places like that. But when I'm in there, I get it. I'll start off good, but I have to get out of there. It's too many different smells, too many different
stimuli,
colors. Yeah, I'm overstimulated, man. I don't like crowds. If people start bunching up around me, I get all jumpy, you know what I mean? And like I asked one dude, and I did it before I even caught myself, T. That's what I hate that, man, but I did it. The dude was standing here. I said, man, what you reaching your hand in your pocket for? He said, excuse me, sir? I said, oh, man, I'm sorry. I apologize, man. I was just thinking about something. But when I walked, he was still looking at me like, what the fuck did he say? But, it just caught me off guard, man. You stuck your hand. I don't know what you finna come out to, but that's prison. You know what I mean? I know it's PTSD. I know what it is, and like I said, I don't like crowds, man. If you get too crowded somewhere, I have to move around. I can't do that, bro. I don't.
Were you like that before? Like as a
I kind of not that extreme, but that's why I didn't never do a lot of. I did a lot of clubbing as a youngster.
Yeah,
but I don't do a lot of clubs because I don't like crowds. I don't like a lot of crowds. I need that space.
Yeah,
I need some space in between what I do, where I go. I like space, So
yeah, you mentioned all that kind of stimuli and the colors and smells,
and for the most time, I like being by myself. I mean, I'm not, if I look at the paper here, it says in 1972, the Texas Board of Education or something sent me to see Dr. June Huckabee, and she said that I was borderline mentally retarded with behavioral disorder and asocial tendencies. That was her diagnosis. And I was a kid then, so.
AKA an introvert.
Yeah. yeah. But I never have crowds. I like, if it's me and a couple other people, that's good. I like the threesome. I like 3 people. anytime I get around crowds, because I don't know, I unless I'm just around a bunch of, I know, super square people, then I'm not bothered. But I'm around people I know. Most of the time I feel it before I even see it. I don't know. I guess you would say a sixth sense and maybe a street sense or whatever, but I usually know, I feel when something is about to happen. It's like at the place I'm staying now, and this dude just passed me, but he brushed against me. I felt him. I said, man, this dude is a child molester, and I know it. Sure enough, he's a child molester.
Mm-hmm.
Sure enough, he's a child molester.
Yeah. That's definitely street smart. I mean, the more that experience you have, and certainly the more
felt it.
Personal experience that you can take through that living, I mean, you've got to be hyper aware. Your intuitive sense has got to be fantastic.
Yeah. And sometimes I can become hyper vigilant. I think maybe that's one of the reasons why I like The Equalizer.
Oh, The Equalizer is great.
I think that's why I like that movie, because a lot of times I can walk in and I'll just, how many lights is this? 10, 15 lights. I don't know why I do that, but I do it. I do that. I get to certain places, I have to, know where I'm at, what's going on around me, just like that. But yeah, anyway, back to where we was at. From the compassionate release, like I said, I ended up getting clemency, got out, man, and my first 2 weeks out was, it's still, what my first 2 weeks out was just really unreal, unreal. I was I'm in the presence of everybody who's done time, but I think I'm the only person there that was in the USP though. They was a lot of them, they was in mediums and lows and camps, but my time there was a lot more serious, a lot harder. But even now, which is far past the 2 week mark, but I'm still making adjustments. Yeah, I'm still trying to acclimate, to what I'm around. I have no problem out of the staff where I'm at, man. These people really respect me, and man, I respect them, man.
That's great.
Yeah, they
could undo a good thing having real jerks running that program.
Yeah, it could, because I had one situation where some medication mysteriously came up missing. I didn't even press this. I didn't even press. Hey man, it's not there. It had to go somewhere. I don't work behind the desk. You do, y'all do. So, but needless to say though, the director at the place, he's good. The assistant director, man, I shout them out. Because they all good people, man. I respect them. They respect Mr. Holt, and that's a good thing. That's a plus for me, as you can see the concern the lady had when I called her,
Yeah.
So, they good to me, T. We don't have, this is unlike any other halfway house, bro. It's a lot of restrictions they have in those places. They can't have their phone. They have to turn their phone in at a certain time of day or a certain time. And we don't have that, our phone. Now we restricted to certain social media, which I understand, but other than that, man, hey man, so far life is good to me, man.
Hey, in the last few weeks, you've become a freaking pro on that phone.
Oh yeah. Hey man, I'm getting it down, bro. I'm getting it down, man. Now I got to get I got to learn how to share the photos. I talked to a homegirl a couple of weeks ago. She, ran me through it, how to do it, but I don't know how to repeat the process, but I'm going to get it though. Yeah. And you supposed to send me a picture too. Yeah, I'm sending it to me. What picture is that?
Oh, I sure do, of me and you.
No. Well, that picture too, but the picture you took with Isaiah before he died.
Oh, I haven't given you that picture yet?
No.
Oh man, we're not leaving it until I get
he I tell you, he grown his gray beard. I didn't even know he had a beard, because he wasn't wearing no beard like that.
So I went out to his house that when we were talking about getting that release paperwork done through the attorney's office. Yeah. You needed a place that you could state that you had in case they did release you or they wouldn't release you unless they knew that you had a reasonable caretaker. And so that's why I went there for you and got an opportunity to meet him. So great dude, man. It was just, man, it was.
Yeah. And I was worried about him until you told me where he was reluctant to answer the phone because of the spam calls. You get so many spam calls.
Yeah. He's an older cat. He's in his 80s and he's getting, 30 calls a day. Yeah. And one of them's legit.
Yeah.
You know, so he just gets frustrated.
Yeah.
And I can totally understand that.
Yeah.
You just needed
Yeah.
somebody
Yeah.
to help
Me
him
too
out.
now. Cause I get some. Yeah. You know, I know now, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's something to navigate. That's just,
Mhm.
that's a first world problem though.
Right.
I mean,
right.
things have been so much
Right.
worse that's
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
that's the worst thing we've got to deal with.
Nothing. You know.
Yeah.
The only problem I had, so far with this new phone I have, guy said I must have hit a wrong button. But I'm so, if I did, I must have been what they call a butt dial type thing. Cause I'm too careful about what I touch. But my phones just popped up and said you have 7 viruses. Then it said you have 32 viruses. And then, you know, if I try to call, text, these ads would just pop up. So that's what made me take the phone back. And the dude said he couldn't do nothing about it. He said, I must have accidentally erased my eSIM because it doesn't have a SIM card. So he said, so I took it to T-Mobile. That's how I got the new little plan here, you know, until I take it back. Now that I got a legitimate identification, I can take it back. And, you know, hopefully she said she'd give me my old number back, but that remains to be seen. I hope she give it back because I've gave that number to too many people and I don't want to have to send them a different number.
And that's one of the cool, simpler things too. Now that you're out, is you got to go get a new ID, Social Security card, all that kind of stuff. Is there anything that you've learned through this process? It's still early, but having the guys around you too, what are some of the difficulties that someone like you or some of your comrades who are just getting out, what are some of the difficulties you face that most normal people wouldn't appreciate?
It's just trying to get a job. I got guys in there right now, man, they raring to go. They need work. Some have landed jobs, some haven't. Even with some of the women, there's the same process with them. It's the job phase. But you got some people have no problem hiring a felon. They don't care. They want they want somebody reliable. My opinion, I don't think you can get a better employee. Get you somebody coming out of prison that really want to work. Not only do you have a good employee, you got a law one. Because a lot of them, I know a guy right now, he been offered a better paying job, but he won't leave where he at. He said, nah, man, these people was good to me. These people hired me, man, when nobody else would. He said, you think I'm finna leave these people now? And I understand that because I told you, if I ever started working, if they can't tell me things like, oh, you can have all the old time you want, Mr. Holt. You just made a mistake. You'll never get me out that place, man. I'm going to start camping, bring my sleeping bag, my backpack. How you get so early? Not knowing I sleep in the restroom, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. I feel that way, man. But, like I say, I got the Social Security going in my case manager for whatever reason, bro. She just later, you too old to work. You don't need a job. Well, okay, I'll go along with you for right now. Oh, but when I leave there, man, I'm going to be on the hunt, Yeah. I just got to do what I got to do. It's not enough. And I'm not an extravagant spender, man. I'm really type of frugal, but what I need. You know what I mean? It's like, right now, I know I need to get me a little watch toolkit. I got to take some links out this. It's little bitty things I need, but I need them. You know what I mean? I need them, I like jewelry, but I'm not going to buy expensive jewelry. Oh, this ring look nice. Ring cost me $6 at the corner store. But it looks good.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then $6.
And if it gets tarnished, then guess what?
Yeah.
You go buy another one.
Buy another $6. With tax, so no big deal, man.
Love it.
But I'm really enjoying this time. T, I never had the true mindset of I'm not going back. I'm gonna stay free, man. Whatever's given to me now is just by grace. It is a miracle that I'm here, that I'm alive.
Yeah. And
it's a miracle that I'm free. So I'm gonna utilize my miracle. You know what I mean? I'm gonna try my best to, do everything I'm gonna do on my part, But that's a big obstacle though, man. It's just trying to get a job, man. Yeah. That and reacclimating to it, especially when you've been gone a long time. One of my roommates been gone. He was gone 28 years. So and I'm I explain things to him. We sit down, we have some good deep conversations. I talked to another guy's sister because she's going through some things. Like I told her, I said, look, sorry, ma'am, I don't have the gift of gab, but I can tell you some things. And we end up talking for 2.5 hours, because she told me nobody never talked to her like that. Nobody never told her. Well, I'm going to tell you, you know what I mean? you're doing right, you're doing right. If you're doing wrong, you're doing wrong. But if you don't want to hear it, don't ask me.
Yeah, and I think that's a great perspective too, because I think a lot of people just assume that somebody has done prison time, especially for a violent crime or whatever, and they're already kind of hands off because it's harder to trust somebody you think is going to steal or assault somebody or whatever. But your point is well said, that there's a lot of loyal people, and if that really is their goal to get a job, most people that are trying to get right back into the game aren't putting in an application in the first place.
No, they're not. They're not. They're not.
So that's a great point.
Yeah, and you know, I've you know, during those times I'm free, I've always tried to get a job. You know what I mean? Always look for work. Always. And it don't matter sometimes if I land a job. And you know, and here I always know, man, at least you're trying, Mike. You know, you're trying. Look at so-and-so. Look at he ain't even trying. He you know.
Right.
And I already know where that road. It's just the pathway. Only thing beat you back to the penitentiary, the headlights on the bus. That's pretty damn fast. You know what I mean? So
when you stay on that road one step at a time.
Right. Yeah. And see, a lot of us knew I've never had to on my own go get a Social Security card, go get this, go get that. So, but it's teaching me as I go, you know, and what really killed when I go to place and say, well, you have to be patient. I'll be saying, do you have any idea how patient I am?
That goes unsaid.
Yeah, you're clueless, lady. I can sit here and wait all day and never even get frustrated. But the frustration is that, like, when you're trying your best, you're trying your hardest, and these doors close in your face, or, you know, well, you got to do this, you got to do that, and you they don't know it, but they introducing me to something that's brand new. I didn't, you know, and I tell them I didn't know that. So, well, why? And now I've got to go and explain. Look, man, I've been gone for 22 years. I don't know how to do this. I don't know how to do that.
Right.
I put my card in here. What do I do next? They be looking at me like, are you for real? Push yes right here. Enter your PIN. And okay. Well, I'm not, you know, I tell them I'm not joking, which I don't know. I mean, if I knew, I wouldn't be asking you. You know, I'm not playing a joke on you. We're not making a video. You know, shit is real. I don't know, you know.
Right.
So, and that's one of the things, too, I hate about doing those long ass sentences. You know, you get back to the world, it's not the world that you left. It's something new, you know. As I always tell you, they didn't have touchscreen phones. So, you know, this whole operation is a whole new thing to me, you know.
Yeah.
You couldn't download a movie on your phone. You know, now you can, you know. So it's so much that's new to me, you know, and I'm still fascinated and amazed by it. I mean, I truly am. You know, you take, you know, I used to have a habit of reading the dictionary. I will study a word a day. And I ran into this word when I was in the A alphabets, and it said autodidactic. That became my word. I said, man, because I don't know what a 7th grade classroom looked like, because I never went to the 7th grade. I quit. Well, I had graduated from the 6th grade, and I never went. So what I know is because autodidactic.
Because
I'm self-taught. That's what the word means. Everything that what I know, I teach myself. You know what I mean? So a lot of things I have to learn. And you know, there are a lot of people who are ashamed of this, shame of that. And I'm so far removed from shame. I have no problem I don't even know, to this day, well into my senior years, I don't know my timetables. I don't know.
Well, it's one of the advantages of being in this day and age, because
guess what? I got
it could have hurt you in the 70s.
Yeah.
Because now, I don't think a lot of kids know them.
Yeah.
It's kind of come full circle, or everything kind of does it for you now.
I can write courtesy, but I know a lot of people that can't. You know, as they say, don't teach it in schools no more.
Man, you got fantastic handwriting, by the way.
Oh, yeah, thank you. I told you how I did that. My handwriting was so ugly. I used to copy the letters in these cards. I get a pretty card, man. I'm going to start making my L like this, my M like that, my I. And I went through the whole alphabet, you know, from A to Z. So that's why I write like I write.
Yeah, you could create your own cards.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, easily. I used to make them.
Or write in code in 4 time just by writing in cursive.
Oh, yeah.
Little trick most people these days.
Oh, yeah. All that.
So this is a great success story as far as I'm concerned. I've got a great friend in you. What do you think is the lesson from all of this? What I mean, what can people take from our relationship, and what can people look forward to hearing from your life? What are your plans from here? Because you got a lot to offer.
You know, look, what I hold near and dear to my heart, I like to, my thing is to reach out to at-risk kids, because sometimes I don't know, like I say, I sense things, I can see, I'm not a prophet. I really can't tell the future, but sometimes you just know, like, I know this kid's parents, and I know where this kid is going.
Yeah.
His next stop is some institution, some jail, but if I can get to him, if I can get him to listen to me, and I'm pretty sure I can trick you into listening, but if I can get that door open and hear to him, I think I can save him. So that's my thing. I want to, I don't know if I can create a type of non-profit or nothing, because that thing is scary. That's scary to me. Too much abuses and stuff happen in that.
Yeah.
But I just like to be able to, and I think I'm gonna find a way where I can go to some of these schools, man, and just talk to some of them youngsters, man. Tell them, man, if you're gonna do this, let me tell you what you can look forward to. This is what's gonna happen. And it'll happen in these steps, and I'll give him all 3 steps that he'll take that's gonna lead him behind bars.
Yeah.
And I can tell him, no, do the opposite of what I'm telling you, and you'll be okay. If I give you a book on how to gang bang, if you do just the opposite, you won't gang bang. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It works. It's just that simple. Sometimes it may appear to be complex and complicated, but it's not. It's really so simple. You just have to do it, but you got to want to do it.
And the fact that you've walked the walk before is helpful, because you've come from the game, and you've done the time, and you know what it's like doing the time. You know what it's like to lose friends and everything else. So I think you've got a lot to offer there.
Yeah.
From definitely a different perspective. And you happen to have a friend that can link you with all kinds of opportunities for that.
Right.
Once we're a little more mobile, and you're all set to go, I'll drive you all kinds of places. I think you got tons to offer, man.
Okay.
So, like I said, if
deal.
we can do 50 of those things and save one kid, then hallelujah, right?
Yeah, for real. I hope this will stay in there. The people that I shout out, man. I got some real good friends that's been in my corner, man. They tried. Even those that fell off, I ain't mad at them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I've been able to reach out to them since I've been out. My homegirl, Jewel Brisby, Glenn Cook, Ricky Maddox, all them Texas team dudes I left behind in prison, man. Some of my homies out of D.C., man. Floyd, Professor, man. Tony, a couple other guys, all the dudes from that South car, man. Of course, a lot of Crip homies, blood homies too. I like, just shout them out, just let them know, man. Hey, man, this world is out here, man. It's good out here, man. Those that can come out, man, F the BS and come on, man. If you got a chance, man, come on home, man, because this is where it's at. It's not there, man. If you done did your time, you done did your time, man. It ain't your job to go take care of this and take care of this. There's somebody there to take care of that for you, man. You just got to, come on, man. If you can come on, man. That's pretty much it, bro. I'm just glad, man. I'm glad to be free, man. I'm just so honored, bro. It is. Oh, and I must shout out my girl, Taylor Mendez. I love you. Thank you so much.
Wow. Well, I'm honored to be here, and I can't even believe I'm here either. So, right?
Man, it's an honor for me to be here, man.
Yeah. And spending time with you is great. This is a little bit more on the professional side. We got all this equipment and everything, but this is really about telling us a redemption story in my mind for somebody like yourself who's been real on the wrong side, but is a real genuine person. I got a lot of love for you, man. So thank you so much for being a friend.
Man, thank you, T. Thank you, man, for being in my corner, bro, because there's not many people, It's real short list.
Here when you need it, brother.
Okay, man, that's good to know, bro. That's good to know, man. That's great.
What's it take? What you gonna do? What you gonna do? Success around the sandbox with second grade rules. A confident fake to make you do what they want when they won't pay the fool. A diplomatic face is the one to see you through. And don't let those bigots take you off your game, or just to let them loose. You sit here in the front